A team that needs to take some off time right now are the New York Knicks, and they need to take some off time because they got exposed by the Atlanta Hawks in the first round of the playoffs, losing in 5 games. A lot of things went wrong with the Knicks in the first round, but we're going to talk about what they should do in the offseason because we're not going to talk about what went wrong. Everybody already knows that. So what's the next step for the Knicks? I'll let you start first, Riv.
Well, it's going to be a tricky offseason. I think the best guy is probably DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi. I think you guys can make a strong pitch for Kawhi, but I think the way you guys lost, it's not looking too good. I think if you put up more of a fight, Kawhi would look at it as a winning environment, but I don't see him really looking that way. But like I said, Kawhi, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, this is that type. It's pretty dry free agency, so I think the next step would be development. I think Julius Randle made that insane leap. I think that we can all agree made an all-NBA leap, and I think another year under Tom Thibodeau, he's going to make another leap. Same with R.J. Barrett, getting Mitch Robinson back, who we didn't get to see. He missed some time. He's going to make a leap, and I think just continuing to grow and build that continuity in the roster, in the organization, keep building up that culture, keep getting better with the young guys would only continue for you guys to get better. I think getting a better offensive scheme, with Tom Thibodeau, it's hard to really assess how good his offensive scheme was because when we had him in Chicago, we had D. Rose, who was already there, Luol Deng, so we had offensive players who kind of just ran the show. But his defensive scheme is second to none. I think offensively, you guys just got to keep getting better. Randall has to learn from his mistakes, still being the number 1 guy. I definitely think you guys should definitely make a play to try to get a number 2 guy or maybe somebody a little bit better than Randall. But this is not the end for the Knicks. Randall, he played poor, but based off what he's shown us and his work ethic, he's going to continue to get better. So I think this year, this offseason is just about, player development, maybe nagging another guy for the bench, a good player, maybe get some veteranship, some leadership in the organization. But other than that, definitely just build on what you produced this year and be excited that you're back in playoff contention.
The Knicks have 2 first-round picks in this draft. Some Knicks fans have been talking about drafting Sharif Cooper out of Auburn, maybe Jared Butler out of Baylor, who I think is a really good player and I think fits what Tom Thibodeau wants to do as well. He's a great defender. And I'll say this, the Knicks have to hit on the draft picks. We know that. But they have to make a decision. They have to either A, want to build this young core, or B, they have to sign players. And I'll say this. At first, I said it's a great idea if we go out and sign a DeRozan. Even though I think his game will kind of clash with Randall, I think Kyle Lowry would be much better for that. But then I said, let me look at 2022 just to make sure it's not a stacked class. And on second thought, the Knicks should not sign 1 free agent in this free agent class. The best free agents in 2021 are Mike Conley, who is going to go back to Utah. We can all agree on that. Kyle Lowry, who I don't think is going to go to the Knicks. He might go to a contender. And even if, why would we sign Lowry if we're thinking about bringing back Derrick Rose?
Right.
That's another one. DeMar DeRozan, I think his game will clash with Julius Randle's. Otto Porter, his name rings bells because there was a point in time where he was a pretty solid player, but I don't think he's better than Reggie Bullock right now. I'd rather keep Reggie Bullock than get Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo, injury prone. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's been on the Knicks 2 times already, but I don't think he's going to come back. Dennis Schroeder, after what he's done with the Lakers, I will not get him. He's a score-first guard, and I don't think that's going to help the Knicks. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. And Evan Fournier. Those are the best free agents in 2021. Now when we look at 2022, these are players with player options. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Kyrie.
Oh, boy.
All of them have player options.
There you go.
Unrestricted free agents, Steph Curry, Kawhi, Zach LaVine, and Jimmy Butler.
That's a great thing.
So this is what the Knicks should do.
Great free agent.
Julius Randle has a team option this offseason. The Knicks have to pick it up, have him play next year, let that contract expire. Don't extend Randle. Then in 2022, try and get Steph Curry and Kawhi to team up in New York. That's what has to happen. That's what I think they should do. And even if they're not trying to get Curry or Kawhi, try to get LaVine. Try and get Jimmy Butler, reunite with Tom Thibodeau. I think Bradley Beal declines his option because Washington is a mess. Try to get Bradley Beal who can put up 30 a night. You got to get these guys who are stars and then build around them. The thing about Tom Thibodeau is that if you get a guy like Bradley Beal who can light it up, you already have the defense in place to kind of mask his weaknesses. So it's the perfect place. And with our 2 first-round picks, with quickly developing Toppin, RJ, Mitch, we have already some foundational pieces. We just need those stars to take us over the top. So don't sign a free agent in 2021. Wait and sign him in 2022.
I think the Sharif Cooper one was pretty impressive, getting him to be your point guard for the future. I think he's really talented, a great playmaker. He's a shot maker. He's a very strong finisher at the rim, so I think that would be a good pickup. Obi Toppin, he showed some flashes in the playoffs.
Definitely.
He showed some impressive, stretch the floor. You saw him put some effort on defense, so I liked him. Now, Steph Curry is not going to the Knicks. I'm just going to lay that out right now.
He wanted to.
Yeah, he doesn't want it anymore. He's probably 95% sure going to go back to Golden State. Kawhi's a tricky one. I feel like you guys in Miami are the 2 places he's looking for outside of home. He's stated repeatedly he wants to stay home. He wants to finish his career home. But outside of that, I think he'll probably look at you guys in Miami, 2 teams that built their foundation on defense, something he wants to get back to, and he doesn't have to be the number 1 scorer. Like, he doesn't have to carry the scoring load, So I think those are 2 places, and with 2 coaches he respects, I think those are 2 places that definitely get him right. I wouldn't really look into Kyrie. We've already seen Kyrie as a number 1 option. He's not that guy. He's more as a second or third fiddle, guys carrying him. He's just a scorer.
We could steal KD and Harden from Brooklyn.
Yeah, we're not thinking about that. You tried that.
Put him in them Knicks jerseys.
Stealing KD and Harden would be dope if it actually, would happen, but I don't think it happened.
It depends on if the Nets totally collapse, then there's a possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think Bradley Beal would be a good one because I think he's younger than Kyrie. He's a guy who the ball doesn't have to always stick with him, and he's a guy who can play off the ball, on ball. His defense will be masked in your system, and I think he can play really well with Julius Randle because of the fact that the ball doesn't always stick with him. It had to in Washington
Best
because
corner in the league.
They suck. So I think Bradley Beal and Kawhi definitely should be the 2 guys that should be on your mind. Not thinking about the other guys because those aren't realistic.
You don't think they're not realistic?
I don't think Steph Curry is at all realistic.
What about Zach LaVine?
Oh, Zach would be cool, but you're not getting him because we're going to re-sign him.
How many max contract spots do you guys have?
2, right?
2 if Julius Randle does not get signed back. So we have 2.
Yeah, I like your idea. It's almost like you're kind of using Julius Randle.
Unless he becomes the guy, but
because if we sign him long term, we can't sign 2. And I don't think
I like your idea.
I don't think any superstar player is looking at Julius Randle and saying, I want to play with him. No disrespect, but I just don't think they're doing that. I think with Kawhi, players say, I want to play with Kawhi. I want to play with Steph. I want to play with KD, Harden. I don't know if people are doing that with Randle. Even Beal, I think they're not doing that much either. But I think, Beal and Randle wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't be mad at that. I'd like it, especially with RJ if he continues to become a better shooter with Mitch and just solidifying that point guard spot, whether it's Emmanuel quickly transitioning to becoming a full-time point guard or getting some more out of Derrick Rose these upcoming years. We don't know how much he still has left in the tank, but hopefully for the Knicks' sake, he has a lot. But I think that's what the Knicks have to do in this offseason. Don't do anything. Just draft those young players. Maybe if you want to upgrade your bench scoring a little bit, I think Alec Burks is a free agent. I think you should re-sign Burks, re-sign Bullock. I'd re-sign Noel. I'd bring back the whole team.
Yeah.
Just develop and maybe get another scorer who can take the load off with Julius Randle when the going gets tough. If we're being honest, RJ Barrett should be that. This offseason, he has to develop his scoring ability, his scoring off the dribble. He has to develop that.
He needs to develop handles, number 1.
That is true.
Go-to move.
Offhand.
Yo, it's ridiculous. But, yeah, I agree. He should – you don't even need – I feel like you got the 2 max spots. You should trade Randle and be okay because RJ Barrett should be the guy that steps up and takes Randle's spot eventually. But it's based on his development. So far, so good. The playoffs was a little shaky for him, but it was his first time. So we'll see. You know, it was a bad environment. He looked horrible offensively. He needs to definitely get in the gym and work on his game. It's ridiculous.
The good thing is that he can shoot now, though.
I mean, yeah, when he's open.
Better, yeah.
I've seen him hit shots contested.
I've seen him lose the ball going to the left hand. Up to the right hand, pardon me.
Reddish, he's done it.
Yeah, he's been hurt.
So, yeah, I think right now, like I mentioned last episode, I think Julius Randle is the D-Lo to the Knicks. Is what D-Lo was to the Nets. That's what Julius Randle is to the Knicks. Unless Julius Randle can surprise me and develop into this all-time player or even, top 20 player definitively. Because I think right now he's on the borderline.
Has to be consistent.
You guys could kind of probably do something like Brooklyn did, even along the lines, like if you have, like, let's say you get the 2 max contract spots, let's just happen to say it's Kawhi and Beal. You could even flip R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson for another superstar to kind of do what Brooklyn did, bring in another third.
Get it, Anthony Davis.
Something like that.
You would want that?
Why wouldn't I want Anthony Davis?
Because that man,
Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and Beal?
That man barely plays.
Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and Beal sounds crazy.
I mean, look.
Good luck.
Like I said, I mean, the Knicks are on the right path. You know, you guys have a lot going for you. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if you guys take a bite out of what Brooklyn did.
They should.
It looks like you're kind of on the right path.
Brooklyn was a good example, and the Knicks have a better market than Brooklyn.
They do.
We just have to be good. We just have to be good.
I just have to get.
I like how you tried to throw the little smirk in there to try to.
We just have to be good.
I just have to get the players.
Nets got the players.
You have the best, maybe if not the best, the second best market in the world.
No, they have the best market in the world, bro.
Well, Zimmer, LA.